This is Rugby Unity. I am David Pembroke, and it's the Wednesday after the second Test match and before the third Test match in Sydney between the British and Irish Lions and the Wallabies. And joining me in the studio is former Brumby and Wallaby player Ben Alexander. Let's look backwards, Benny. We were both in Melbourne. How did you feel when the game ended?
Two emotions, proud and sad. Proud and sad. I was a bit down on after first test and had thought, the two of us has been a real non-event. But that last week with the First Nations Pacifica match and then that game on Saturday, like that moment when Swaley went through, put away Tom Wright, we were sort of, Righty was running straight at us. I get goosebumps just thinking about the MCG erupting, and it really had made the tour. Even though we've lost it, we haven't won a game yet. That match was so good, such an emotional roller coaster of just, pride, of disappointment. I don't remember what the question is, mate, but I get goosebumps with that moment. That moment will stick with me when Swaley cut through and put Righty away, and we're on here.
But it was an exciting game.
Oh, mate, it was so good. And it was, I think people were saying, tell you, it was wet. It was raining for quite a lot of the game. And but the ball handling was incredible. There's such a high. I just hope people who bag rugby in this country realise that the game when played right, mate, is unbelievable to watch.
Yeah, well, I think I do. That is the point. That game was rugby played at its best, and when it is played at its best, it's compelling because of the uncertainty, because of the contest, because you're not quite sure
physicality, the skill,
what's going to happen next. So we were very, very fortunate to be there. I said in the program on Monday that wrapped it up that at the end of the game, the incident with Morgan and Tizzano, I felt that in the stadium people didn't really think it was a big deal. It was like, okay, it happened. No one was thinking, oh, hang on, there's a controversy. And it wasn't until there was the reporting of Joe Schmidt's reaction that it became a big deal, because at the time I don't think it was. Do you agree with me that was a sentiment, that everyone was like, fair enough, the Lions have won?
I mean, everyone's talked about this blue and black in the face. I think it's great clean out from Jack Morgan, and I think it's actually quite nice that a Welsh player the Wales had copped a bit of grief for not having any players picked in the first test and almost none on the tour, but that he would, that is an unbelievable clean out by him. He had nothing else. What else could he do? I look back at what, how it's particularly the All Blacks used to try and clean Dave Pocock out, where they'd, arm around his neck and try and rip his head out. That's illegal. But I think, our clean outers have got to be able to hit the jackal. If you're going over for the ball, you've got to be ready to get whacked. And that's
but he didn't even have the ball, though.
Yeah, but he was going for the ball.
He was trying to get me.
I just think it's a great clean out where I understand. So, it's emotional. And maybe in Super Rugby that would be a penalty. I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say, I'm not up to date with the exact laws. Just as an armchair fan, old boy, I thought great clean out, Jack Morgan. And the bit we should be talking about more is that Dan Sheehan try in the first half where he dove over, because what now, everyone will just start diving from 5 metres out. We'll have it like the NFL where, you get 2 yards from the line and this guy dives over and you're going to have people doing mid-air collisions and stuff. I think the safety of the game, that's probably the point people should be talking more about than the clean out at the end.
Yeah, well, so I just thought that was a clever understanding and a good understanding of the laws to know that if you're diving to the try line to score the try, which is what he was doing.
But if it's
he's a great player.
Yeah, tremendous. I think, up with Marks, they're the two best hookers in the world. Tremendous player, Dan Sheehan. And very clever, great. I'm not saying disallow the try, tremendously clever, but if you want to talk about player safety, do you want guys firing like missiles through the air, trying to score tries? That's probably, watch what happens now, 5 metre taps going forward. If you think they're going to dive, blokes flying through the air, is that safe? I don't know. And that's, I guess, what Australians were trying to cry for the penalty on Tizzano. Was that a safe clean out? But, mate, what else was Jack Morgan? Mate, that was a textbook. One of the best clean outs I've ever seen.
Yeah, so great occasion. And I do think we have to give great credit to the British and Irish Lions fans for the way they have participated in that particular occasion. It made a great evening, didn't it? There was the Lions fans cheering, there were the Wallabies fans cheering. The noise was just perpetual.
I don't know if you felt it during the day. I went down to Melbourne, not too excited. I was a bit down about our chances. I knew we could turn it around, but once I got down there on Thursday, there was red jerseys everywhere walking around the city. How many other jerseys do those Lions fans pack, or do they
I
not
think
shower,
one.
or do they not wash? I don't know, but it was red and then on game day, you just felt this energy on the city. I just got swept up in it, and it was incredible.
Yeah,
and
no.
also, I mean, they don't get much credit at Rugby Australia, but I think well done as well. Like the pre-game was the lights and all that stuff was
The
was
presentation of the match.
It was well done, unbelievably well done.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
And the MCG as a venue, I mentioned this again in Monday's program as well, that it was just, it's iconic. It's a wonderful viewing experience. There's not a bad seat in the house. The eye line is perfect from wherever you are. I was there on Sunday afternoon at the AFL. We were sitting up in the nosebleed section, but that didn't matter. You could still had a great view.
And with where we were sitting, we were sort of bit background level, but where we had a TV above us. So if you couldn't see what happened at the scrum or the ruck, you could quickly look up and get a better view. So that just like negated any issues with it being a cricket AFL ground where you're a bit further away from the play. I found that was no issue, that it was an oval game an oval field. It was just, Melburnians. And I actually was sitting with a Victorian at the game trying to ask him, like, mate, you guys just do events and sports so well. And he tried to say, in Sydney and Brisbane, they got beaches. So that kind of keeps everyone occupied, whereas Melbourne, they don't have any beaches. So sport and events are a big thing to the Melburnians or the Victorians, and they take their live sport very seriously, and they've got the infrastructure that reflects it. What a stadium.
So Wednesday, Finn's not with us today because he's busy. He has work to do in Sydney, covering not just the British and Irish Lions, but preparing for the Women's Rugby World Cup, which is coming in August 25, and we'll get to that in a moment. Very exciting. Looking forward to that. But let's just think about the preparation. If I might ask you, as a player, you've been involved in those types of games where the Wallabies threw everything clearly into their preparation and into their performance. How do you get right ahead of Saturday? How do you prepare yourself, or how does the team prepare itself, both the coaches, the senior players and the players, to make sure that there is consistency, that they don't go back, that they can build on the faith that has been restored from last Saturday night?
It's hard because a lot of the reaction from the boys was, backs against the wall, series on the line. They dug deep. Geez, they dug deep. And
on Monday, Jorgensen and Frost, shattered was the word that they were using to describe how they felt about it. So how do you recover from that?
Oh, mate, I don't have any answers. Mate, it took me 9 years to get over losing to the Lions, in the decider 12 years ago. So definitely, I'm no expert in bouncing back from tough losses. I mean, the only dead rubbers.
But through your career, you played a lot of 70 odd times for the Wallabies. However many 100 times for the Brumbies. Clearly, you've been in these types of positions where you've been in those backs against the wall
dead
games.
Rubbers against like the All Blacks and stuff.
Yeah, but you've been in a backs against the wall. You've thrown everything in it, and then the next week you've got to go again. So how do you think through getting ready for that next opportunity?
I don't know. I honestly don't know what it would be like trying to get up for this week's test. Like I said, played in played a slow dead rubbers. But that sort of happens every year. You play the All Blacks all the time. So you try and treat it like another game, take the learnings out of last game, and then park the rest of the series behind you and just look forward. Whereas this, maybe one or two of the guys will get another crack in 2037. But man, I don't know how you get. Being honest, I don't know how you get over a loss like that. Saying that, I reckon we're a good chance to win this weekend. Saying all that,
Why?
Yeah, I just think the Lions will be complacent. They'll be on the piss for days. Job's done. Like, I know they talk about going 3-0, and maybe, they'll still, fire up and have a go, but, we did everything right in that first 30 minutes, and we still couldn't win. It just, I don't know. I just think, we got more to play for in, losing 3-0. That's a huge black eye. So I think the boys have got a lot to play for. They don't want to be part of that history. And the Lions, they were off in that first 20, really ill-disciplined, really. And so again, it's human nature. They'll be complacent. Series is wrapped up. And they'll be feeling pretty good about themselves because we were all over them and they still managed to win. So they'll be confident too. But in saying that, I think we got a lot, probably more to play for than them this weekend. And
Do you go for the big selection changes? Do you go and find
Taniela Tupou in there? Get Allen's out. Get him in there.
Eddie Jones and Ewan McKenzie?
And I think if Tupou's on the bench with, like this is saying from a type forward, Test match type 5 form is totally different to Super Rugby form. Like I think what you do as a type 5 forward in Super Rugby is irrelevant. Test match footy and Super Rugby is so different in the type 5. And I just think, if they had Lucan, Salakaloto and Taniela coming off the bench in that test, I think we win it. And I think and I said it probably before the series. I definitely said it before the series, whether here or somewhere else. If we had our best team injury-free, so we had Noah, I thought Tommy Liner played tremendously well, but just for continuity's sake, Noah, Bobby V and Will Skelton were there from the get-go. Taniela was firing. Look, everything, looking great. I still reckon we could have beat the Lions in a series. But
I think in the first 30 minutes, in the first 30 minutes of the second test, we showed that with the right tactical application and the right attitude towards physicality, Skelton in particular was immense, and so was Bobby V, in terms of their carry. The line-out work was
Ross
good.
Was excellent. Parecki, yep.
Use of the short side. So, and again, Ewan McKenzie was saying this in Monday's episode, that the tactic. You can see how you beat them. You just have to be good enough to beat them. You just have to be good enough to be consistent. And Ewan made an interesting point. He said, you don't want to get bored with trying things. Like, I think his view was that maybe Australia went away from their tactics that were working for them in that, post the 30-minute mark, that they didn't stick to the game plan. But I don't know. I tend to think it was a couple of those key errors, like the line of drop ball, the Wilson clean out, the Suali clean out, where they were just, nothing penalties that really gave nothing and allowed them to ship forward. But anyway, we're talking about Saturday night. So getting ready for Saturday night, you're not clear about how you'd go about it. Yes, selection is one thing that you can do. There'll still be a pretty huge crowd there on Saturday night in Sydney. I think the weather is going to be good. So it's still, there's a lot to play for, a big occasion. And I just hope that Australia can get that consistency, because I think that's been the challenge of the past 20 years, is that there's been signs of improvement and then we go back. Signs of improvement, then we go back for a little bit longer, and we just haven't been able to build through it. But, Joe did say going into the match that there is a long-term plan. They're not focusing on the outcomes. They're looking for the improvement. They're looking for that consistency. So I just think that that's going to be a measure of where this team is in what is shaping up as a pretty difficult year, because they're not long on after the match.
I looked at the draw for the rest of the year on the trip home. 2 in South Africa?
Two in South Africa.
Host Argentina for 2.
Yep.
Then to Eden Park for the All Blacks, then all the way to Perth.
Yep.
Then Japan to face your boy Eddie.
Yep.
And then off to England, Italy, and then just to top it off, Ireland, France.
Yep.
What a year.
Yep.
I'm just exhausted looking at that.
Have we got enough? Have we got enough players? Got enough depth?
We'll find out. I heard rumours, I don't know if this is true, South Africa are going to be picking all their young blokes. Like, they're not even showing us the respect and putting on... That's what I don't know.
Well, Rassie's been running a squad of around 50-odd,
Yeah.
and post the under-20s in... Northern Italy, where they won the championship, my understanding is that Euster, the wing, he went up into the squad. Hashim Peed, who's my favourite player, number 9, he went up into the squad, and the big number 7 went up into the squad as well. So they clearly have this development pathway that they're working towards, and I think that they have now trialled enough players that. Yeah, the big game for the South Africans is clearly Eden Park against the All Blacks. That's the one that they have got absolutely looking at to do that. And look, fair play to them. I think the way that he's developed his squad over the last few years, he's been able to give enough players enough opportunities that he can, select good quality. Like, it's not as if they're dud players. They're very, very good footballers, whoever they pick to represent the Springboks. So there's a lot to look forward to there.
Well, and they got a crack at only one. It's something only one team has ever had even just had a crack at before, and that's to win 3 World Cups in a row. So New Zealand had a crack at it in 2019, fell short. So I guess if you're thinking of your Rassie and the powers that be in South African rugby, you've got probably two eyes on that World Cup, trying to become the first country to win 3 in a row. And they're playing the long game, doing all the long-term planning. So full credit to them that they're in a position to be able to do that. Back to the question about our depth, do you want the positive Ben or the negative Ben? What do you...
You can give me either or. Give me both.
I don't think we have as I said before, I thought we could have beat them if we had our full side, everyone fit and fine. But as soon as we have a few injuries, we don't have the depth that we used to. And you look at the All Blacks or the Springboks, even look at France. They just sent their seaside.
England the same.
England, ton of depth. Look, Ireland, maybe not. Ireland's got some good depth, but I think with France, they sent their seaside. And they still lost 3-0, but they had it wasn't like 60-0 every week against the All Blacks in New Zealand. So, no, I don't think we have the depth. And there'll be a couple of games. I think we'll still fight hard. Boys will do their best, try and make the country proud. It's just such a big year. There's going to be some up, and as you said, consistency, but there's going to be some ups and down performances. I think, we've seen they are capable of big performances, great performances that make us proud. But at the moment, and that's why I'm not in coaching, because I don't know how you'd improve the consistency other than trying to improve the team in a systematic way rather than have to rely on the emotion of having your back against the wall to inspire some Herculean performance, which we got on Saturday. Yeah, I don't know. You have to ask Eddie that.
What about the state of Australian rugby as we head to the World Cup in 2027? Because we will have the World Cup here. It will be an incredible event. I'm sure many, many people will come from overseas to enjoy Australia and to enjoy the rugby. It will be a great occasion. But to really make it a special occasion, Australia has to be competitive. Australia has to really be among the best teams. I have my doubts that we're going to be, by 2027, in that position. I'm just not quite sure that we're going to be able to get there in time by 2027.
What are you talking? Views? Not make the round of 16, or what? What are you?
Look, I think there's a risk of that.
Bowing out at the round of 16.
Yeah, I think there is a risk of that. Look, I'm as excited as everybody else about what happened last Saturday night, but I'm still not yet convinced that we're going to be able to see the consistency this week. We get the opportunity to do that. But how important do you think it is for rugby in Australia that the Wallabies be competitive at the 2027 World Cup?
Massively. We now will have a bit of money. We'll clear all the debts with this Lions term. We're going to have a bit of cash, right? So... we've been in this position before in 2003. We won a World Cup 99, Lions series, host 03 World Cup, Rugby Australia flush with cash. So looking long term in the game, what they do after that World Cup is so important. How they spend that money, whatever their long term plans. I think obviously just trying to, because the organisation has just been in survival mode for so long, probably since COVID. Just financially in survival mode. They're like, all right, let's just get to the World Cup, reassess, we'll have a bit of money in the bank. But just emotionally for the fans, we've got to have one or two big wins in that World Cup, an upset or two. But I think the more depth and the more consistent you are, the less luck you need, I feel. And we don't have the depth, so we are very going to need some luck. If Will Skelton gets injured before the World Cup, I think we're in a bit of trouble, or a Sawali. If those two guys get injured... I agree, we might not get past the round of 16, but in saying that, they're all fit, firing, we get a bit of luck. I don't think people talk about the role of luck enough in sport. We like to think it's all in our control. At the end of the day, there is so much luck involved. And we spoke about the other week, I think Eddie had a dose of bad luck before the Fiji game when Skelton and Tupou get injured at training and compounding Alan Alatoa already being out, and then just how that all sort of unravelled from a bit of bad luck. So we don't have the depth, so we need a bit of luck, especially with injury. But I just look at the rest of this year is going to be, I guess, character building. It is such a tough schedule. But if we can get a couple of scalps, bigger scalps, knock off England again, maybe get a win in South Africa, that can build a bit of momentum leading into 2027, because we're gonna need some luck.
If there's a bit of money in the bank, and you have sat on the board of the Brumbies previously, where would you spend the money?
Where would you?
I'm asking the questions. I'm not sure where I'd spend the money.
No, neither. Okay. Well, how would you break down the money? A large chunk, I think, of it would have to go into build. I don't know how you do it and how much it's needed to repairing the bridge between the community and the professional game. I think that divide is killing the game. That the two, we can't come together. The amateur game and the professional game are just total loggerheads, mostly about money. So I think you got to spend whatever. I don't know how much investment that looks from Rugby Australia back in the clubs to get everyone back on the same page. There'd be a solid. That'd be the probably top thing I'd spend money on. Then it's
the players will want more.
But I think they have to go. It's after that World Cup. It is about making sure the professional game in this country survives for many years to come. So I'd actually be spending money on coaching and making sure those pathways, the S&C, the coaching, the academy coaches. I would spend money there. Of course, you're going to maybe go out and sign another marquee or two. Especially, I thought Suwali was. I actually think that's been money well spent. He was tremendous when he's got the ball. He's been tremendous. The guy, and I don't think the moment of the game that wasn't talked enough was that hit Tom Curry put on him. I thought Suwali was off. It was about 55th minute or something. Suwali was off, and I thought we were going to score again. And Curry just sort of blindsided him. Great shot. Well done, Tom Curry. But I think the way Suwali's looked when he's fit and firing, he's been outstanding. The problem is with luck, we might get some bad. He might do his ankle or a hammy or something, and all that money's gone. So maybe you do need to buy maybe another one or two marquee players to build yourself a bit of a contingency. That if you just don't want all your money in one player,
no.
A lot of your money in one player, and then in another player that you're not picking.
No, but the coaching, that's an interesting investment in the coaching, because I think that would be a very good place to invest significant monies, so as that more coaches are available at more levels of the game.
To produce more players and
they're better prepared.
Put the money into the system that's going to produce the players. Yes, you probably got to be really smart in what and player payments, and you got a global market you got to compete for, and domestic with rugby league. So you got to manage that. And probably you would have to put a bit more into players. But I think if I had to look at priorities, it'd be building the bridge with community rugby. Don't know how much that would take. Maybe it doesn't take too much. Just mending that bridge, and then it would be into the system that produces players. So we look at, you said South Africa are just pumping out players now, and they've got the Springboks have done well. I think it's
also helped that they've done well over a long period of time, and they've had their heroes, and they're the World Cup champions, and it's.
But why didn't we do
dominant.
that? Why didn't we have that after our golden era?
That's another podcast for another time.
I'll leave the questions to you.
Post 2003, but I tell you something else that happened on the weekend, and this is a gripe that. If people have been listening to Rugby Unity over the last little while, the purpose of this podcast is try to help to secure the future prosperity of rugby union around the world. That's why we exist, and at the moment we're talking a lot about the rugby because of the importance of the British and Irish Lions tour to Australia and the impact it will have on the game here. And that's obviously what the audience is interested in as well. But I'm, as where I've come from in my role in the game, I'm always very interested about the off-field as much as I am the on-field. And the other night, after the game, remains a shambles. It is a complete and total shambles in terms of the way that the players connect with the fans. So the other night, there would have been a ring of 10 or 15 deep, largely British and Irish Lions fans, all the way around the MCG. All the way around the MCG. All they wanted was a connection, a touch point, a something with the players. So to take a selfie, to get a signature, to in some way be able to share that moment with the players. Now, all they got was the team walking around the field, probably 10 metres from the fence, waving at them as they wandered past. That is not good enough. And the Australians didn't stay out on the field to go and celebrate with their fans, and indeed the British and Irish Lions fans who would have been there. I'm arguing for a cultural ritual where at the end of the game we have 20 minutes where the players of both teams...
the change room. You can't go back into the change room.
You can't go back in the change room. You stay on the field for 20 minutes to go and say thank you to the people who are your employers, the ones who pay your wages. It is just an absolute shocker. People, it's so disconnected. But the thing is, everything is so beautifully organised all the way up until the end of the game, and then it falls apart. Okay, the TV gets their TV bit, but there is no structure to that engagement point. And I had this discussion with Eddie Jones in episode 2 or 3 of this program, is that if you go through a test week, there are very, very few opportunities for the fans to get close to the players just because of the way that the game, you've got to prepare for the game. There's just not the time. The one time of the week where there is an opportunity is that 20 minutes at the end of the game. So why can't we get organised to do it? It would set a new standard. Formula One does it brilliantly. We spoke about that in the Formula One episode. Go to the ground, spread them around the ground, connect with the players. They did it up in Newcastle for the Wallabies and Fiji, where they brought the crowd onto the field. It has to happen every time we play a game. And it should happen in every professional game of rugby everywhere in the world if we are going to be fair dinkum. If we continue this, I'm 15 metres away from you and I'm going to wave at you, not good enough. It is simply not good enough to create the memories and the emotions and the connections which is going to generate the next generation of supporters. Because I can tell you, at the Lions-Wallabies match on last Saturday night, there were no children there, pretty much no kids there, because I went to the AFL on the Thursday night beforehand.
Too expensive.
And the Sunday night after, and it was full of kids. It was full of families. So we didn't even have children at the game because they're priced out of it largely. So it's a simple fix. I don't know why we can't do that. I don't know why the administrators can't just pick that up and go, let's make it a cultural ritual. Just as we clap each other off the field, that is a wonderful tradition of the game. It's a ritual. The haka and all this. Let's say, okay, now for the next 20 minutes, guys, you owe the fans, you owe your bosses, you owe your people what they want. And all they want is to share the moment, to share the excitement. And all they're getting at the moment is either they're getting nothing or they're getting a bit of a wave. And the same thing happened in Suncorp the week before. It's a disconnect that can be solved in a heartbeat. And I'm going to keep banging on about this. I've mentioned it to Brett Robinson. I've mentioned it to other people involved at World Rugby. I've mentioned it to the chairman of Australian Rugby. I've mentioned it to other people. It's a simple fix. Let's just do that, because then that's a layer of a connection. It's a ritual that we do, and then we build on top of that. We start to build the game, because at the moment, the financial sustainability of the game is our biggest problem. When Brett Robinson was elected chairman of World Rugby, he said, my number one priority is to secure the financial sustainability of member unions because they're all running at losses. Now, right up until this British and Irish Lions tour, the Australian Rugby Union has been in all sorts of financial trouble. So let's do some of these simple things. And you know how much that costs to do that?
Well, not much.
Nothing. Zero.
Though, let me just play devil's advocate. So I agree. You could just mandate, unless you're injured, no one back in the change room for X minutes.
For 20 minutes.
Wherever it is. After the full-time siren, not allowed back in the change room. Though, I mean, the only one, after I lost the Lions test, mate, I couldn't wait in that series decider. I thought I let my nation down, couldn't face everyone. I wanted to get in the change room and just escape. Couldn't face the fans because I felt I let them down. So there'll be some emotional stuff of that. Like, yeah, I mean,
they're your bosses, though.
Yeah, I know. But the
players have got to get
went out. Yeah, but you especially if you lose. Well, I know I felt let them down. I couldn't face up to them. I couldn't face up. I felt let them down. So maybe there is a bit of that. And then, like the other thing is just safety. Like you get some like I know you laugh, Pemby, but you
give me a break,
mate. Well, you've
what
seen
happens?
this.
Well, you're going to get dragged over the fence
I know
by
this
someone.
is only a one-off, but you had the old mate that McCoy had to tackle. There's that big South African ran on the tackle. I'm not. I agree with you that they've got to do more. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Okay.
There's obviously got to be reasons why, mate. If it's such a simple fix, they should do it. And I agree that yes, there's got to be more done.
But they don't
but
do
why?
it because
Is it just because we have it's not
no one's
normal yet.
No one's thought about it.
Yeah, okay.
No one's put it in place. No one thinks about that part of the game. Everyone thinks that when the game's over, it's over.
Yeah, no,
it's
it
not
goes
over.
long into the night. There is everything after the game.
It's not over. You should have seen these people. They were 15 deep, 10 deep around. Please, come and say hello to me. Come and let me share this moment with you. Let me create a memory. Let me create a feeling that I can then know for the rest of my time. And then the social media stuff that you're able to get with selfies and all the rest of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's a massively underlooked part of an evening of an event.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I look back to that. I was at the World Cup final, very lucky, Stade de France, but in the nosebleeds. But the bit I remember most was after the game when the Springboks were, the trophy and the I got nowhere near them, but like there was a bit of that.
But let's make it.
You're right. There's an untapped commercial connective half an hour that rugby could make more out of. I know the NBA players go straight off the field. I mean, I only know that because they might stick around and chat to each other, opposition players, like catch up. I mean, the only other thing is after the game, you'd usually try and go find your family. They're the people you really want to see. So if you catch them by the sideline, maybe photo with your missus.
But can't they wait for 20 minutes?
Well, they could. I'm just giving you the player's perspective. But I agree, it's massively untapped part of an evening.
But I think if you sat with the players and said, hey, guys, this is why we're doing this. This is for your benefit because ultimately if we can get more people in more countries caring more about the game, we're going to generate more revenue and you're going to get paid more.
And I agree. I'm just giving you the maybe why.
And you know what? You know where we are going to see it happen? At the Women's Rugby World Cup because they will do it. They will do it because they already do it.
Alona Ma, she leads the way with it.
Well,
she goes and gets I saw people get selfies with her when she came down and played.
It will not surprise me if they take this idea to the Women's Rugby World Cup and they say to the girls, hey, how about we do this? It will create a sensation. The amount of social media content that they'll generate, because the women's game will generate that anyway, because they're so much better on social media than the guys, so much more engaging. So, look, I hope that we do see it. We're trying to get the head of the Women's Rugby World Cup onto the program before it starts because it's starting to get excited. I was watching a YouTube video this morning. It was the announcement of the English team. Obviously, off the back of the Lionesses' success in the European Championships, the next big opportunity for women's sport in that Northern Hemisphere is going to be the World Cup, which is going to be in England. The England team, I think their opening game is in Sunderland up in the north, and then they get to work their way through. Clearly, they're the favourites for the tournament, so it's just so much to look forward to, I think. Australia, some work to do. The Wallaroos got beaten on Saturday by Wales. That was a bit of an upset. So,
does anyone lose to Wales these days?
Emily Chancellor, we're going to get her on before she goes as well, and we're going to start to be doing a lot more women's content in the weeks coming up because it's fundamental to helping secure the future prosperity of rugby union around the world, and the size and the athletic performance and presentation of these English women's players at the moment, like they're ready to go in those white jerseys. They look phenomenal, and they spoke beautifully at this press conference. So I am super pumped, and I know many of you who listen to Rugby Unity will be looking forward to that women's because there will be some great rugby played. Like the other week, some of the rugby played between the Wallaroos and the All Blacks. Great quality rugby. So that is something to look forward to. And I also want to leave just a shout out to the World Rugby people who attended the United Nations High-Level Political Forum, which is really looking at how sport can contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals. And rugby has a program called Pass It Back, which started in 2015. And since it was put in place, 82,000 people have been involved in Pass It Back in 36 countries. 50% of those participants have been female. And there are programs being delivered in, countries like Laos, the Philippines, Fiji, Samoa, Turkey, rugby playing a role in Turkey as well. And so that's this magnificence of this sport that we have. So big congratulations to World Rugby for being active and for having a story to tell in a big global multilateral environment like the United Nations High-Level Political Forum. It's great to see rugby being represented at the highest level, and I want to see more of that. I want to see rugby really using its heft, using its global spread, using its influence to be able to, improve, help strengthen communities and improve the well-being of citizens around the world. So big congratulations to all of you at World Rugby who are involved in that Pass It Back program. So we look forward to the final match this weekend. We look forward to the Women's Rugby World Cup. But Ben, can the Wallabies do it on Saturday night?
Definitely can. I think you just look back to, was it 2009? I think the Springboks series, they won the series, but they dominated the Lions in the first, just won the second, so kind of very similar to this series. But then the Lions, I think, bounced back and won the third. So I actually think, we're a good chance to win this weekend. Just no more injuries. Hopefully everyone else pulled up all right. I think we've got more to play for than them this week. So,
so for everyone who's involved in Sydney, have a great time in Sydney. Not sure if I'm going to go. Maybe I'm going to go. Haven't sort of quite decided whether I'm going to get up there or not. But for all of you who will be at the game, please enjoy it. And Ben, thank you for coming in once again and sharing your time during the British and Irish Lions season. Been much appreciated. And to you, the audience, thank you. Thank you for the reaction over the last couple of weeks. Our audience has blown up officially.
Can I just shout out to one Wongy, if you're listening, Nicholas Wong, long-time listener. I got a text message. He got into me about how I said I'd turned the telly over the other night to watch Hunt for Red October. Had a message, mate, putting the boot into me. So Nicholas Wong, if you're listening, thank you, mate.
But thanks for everyone, and please keep spreading the word. We're getting large numbers of subscribers, huge growth in the numbers of views. So we're really appreciative of that, and we will continue to create some useful, relevant, consistent content, which is all about helping to secure the future prosperity of rugby union around the world. Indeed, you can jump onto our Substack at Rugby Unity. We do have the Sydney Guide. We do have the latest from Favourable Matchups, who's diving into the data. There's a column from me every Wednesday, so just jump over to Substack and Rugby Unity. And please, if you would subscribe to the program, that does help as well. So anyway, a big thanks to you, the audience, for your support of the program. A big thanks to Ben Alexander and to Finn Morton. I'll be back Friday with the preview with Eddie Jones and Ewan McKenzie. Please be kind to each other. My name is David Pembroke, and bye for now.